It's day 11 of the Karen Read trial. I want to give you my daily read. I have my notes today because there were multiple witnesses that took the stand and I just want to keep everything in order for you guys. Also, somebody said on another video previously that they would like to see me do some green screen and include video clips and pictures. It's a lot of work for me and this is just like a fun kind of thing that I'm doing, but if you want to see that, let me know in the comments. So before the jury came in, we learned that the judge is not going to go back on any of the testimony that was given by Katie McLaughlin, and basically everything's going to stand as is, but she will give the defense some leeway in their questioning with Katelyn Albert to kind of clarify their friendship. So Katelyn Albert comes in, she is in the middle of her cross-examination, and we have my notes here. She testified that she didn't see anything on the lawn when she was leaving the home at 1:45. About then is when she says, then she casually says it could have been after 1:45. So there's really no specific time frame for her. She is just kind of guesstimating there. More questioning around why she didn't stay over. So we really want to get to the reasoning if it was planned that potentially she was going to sleep over at 34 Fairview at her parents' house because of the snowstorm or because of something, an incident. Did she decide to have her boyfriend pick her up and leave? We don't really get to the bottom of that. She says it wasn't the plan and it was common for her boyfriend to pick her up. She doesn't hear anything from outside when she's in the house. She doesn't hear tires screeching, car accident, etc. And then that's basically the majority of her testimony today. There wasn't really anything for cross, and that was the end. Then her boyfriend is called to the stand. His name is Tristan Morris. He goes with the group to the Waterfall Bar, and he's the one that leaves early. He seems very combative on the stand just from the get-go. He doesn't want to answer any questions about timing, which is very bizarre to me. As far as timing, he doesn't want to say anything, so he doesn't remember what time he picked up Katelyn. He doesn't remember anything. He says it could have even been 9 p.m. He has no concept of time, apparently. He doesn't remember when the waterfall occurrence was. He doesn't remember when it started snowing. He basically cannot recall. And as a juror, I'm sure this is incredibly frustrating to just over and over hear these questions and tons of witnesses that the prosecution is calling say that they don't recall. He also testifies that he didn't see anything in the lawn when he picked Katelyn up. He didn't see a body, tire tracks, etc. He says his hands were at 10 and 2 while he was driving because he was being careful. So he specifically remembers that. He just doesn't remember what time it was. He says that he was never interviewed about his whereabouts on the 29th, even though he was somebody that was like with the group. Overall, I don't think he was a very good prosecution witness. I really am not sure why they called him. Next up, we have Sarah Levinson, and I've done a little bit of Twitter or X search just to kind of figure out who these friends are, and I read that she is a nurse. That comes up in questioning later on today too. So she's a friend of Brian Albert Jr. She comes to the house for the birthday celebration, and the judge really wants to like move this general questioning about like positioning of the house and the doors and the layout of the house. So she asked Lally to kind of like keep it moving. She does go through the name of the friend, all of the names of the friends that were there celebrating the birthday earlier, and we have never heard those names before. She does give specifics on where people were sitting at the table. That's like the dining room kitchen area. And she testified that Julie Nagel was the only person to go outside. And that was because she had texted her brother, Brian Nagel, to come and pick her up. And she went outside to go talk to him. It looked like she was very tired. If I were a juror, I would say that she was very tired looking and very monotone with her testimony. It was very hard to follow because she was very boring. So she says that she's one of the last to leave, and she leaves the house with her friend, Julie, who is there, Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe. She gets a ride with Matt McCabe as the driver. She says that Katelyn Albert left before her. She didn't go into the basement at all, and she doesn't remember seeing Colin Albert leave, but she does remember seeing him. So when it's time to leave the house, she is leaving with her friend Julie, who had been there with her all night, and Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe. So Matt McCabe is going to be driving them home. He actually forgot something in the house, and he goes back inside the house to get whatever he forgot and then comes back out. in the car, the way that they're seated in the car, Matt McCabe is in the driver's seat, Jen McCabe is in the passenger seat, and behind the passenger is Sarah Levinson, and then behind the driver is Julie Nagel. And we go over that situation in the car quite a bit, because when the car is leaving the residence, looking out the passenger window would have been Jen McCabe and then Sarah Levinson, and they would have had the best view of the lawn. And she says that they don't see anything in the front lawn. She does not see a 6'2" man. She doesn't see a shoe, a hat, pieces of a taillight, etc. Next up, the Commonwealth calls Julie Nagel, and I think she's going to be a very pivotal witness. I can't decide really which side she's for yet. So let me go through my notes here with you guys, and I'll tell you how it all went down. She states that she was at the house with Sarah Levinson. They kind of like bypass a lot of the same questioning, but she could see the front door from where she was positioned inside the house sitting at the table, but she doesn't remember where everyone else was sitting. So around 12:15 to 12:20, she said she texted her brother to come pick her up. When he arrived, she does go outside to talk to him, and his friend is driving, and his ex-girlfriend is in the back seat, and she decides that she doesn't want to leave. And I guess Matt McCabe had offered to give her a ride if she didn't want to go home, so she ends up coming back inside the house and stays with the group. Before her brother arrives, though, she says that she saw a black SUV pull up to the house. It was not the car that her brother was going to be driving, but she did see it. She didn't recognize that car, but she describes a very clear recollection of the vehicle and its positioning in front of the mailbox. Then it moved to in front of the flagpole, so it moved a few times around. She's not sure if the vehicle was running, though when she saw it out the window, she doesn't see tire tracks or footprints. When she goes outside to meet her brother, and she doesn't see anybody come in or out of the vehicle. For some reason, I feel like it's important to mention that Katie McLaughlin, Caitlin Albert, and now Julie Nagel have all been wearing gold crosses when they're testifying that are very visible. I don't know why, but I feel like that's important to tell you guys. So when the Commonwealth, it's Mr. Lally, is questioning her at the very end, she testifies that when she is leaving in the car with Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe in the front seat, she sees a black blob by the flagpole in the Albert front lawn. She says to the group in the car, "I just saw something," quote, "I'm not sure what it is." And then she explains, "But I had also been drinking. I don't know what it was or what I saw, but Sarah asked what it was by saying, 'What, Julie?' But I didn't know what it was." I noticed too that from this point on, really, she kind of started breathing a lot heavier. She was getting a little bit red too. Then she does say that it was about 5 or 6 feet long. We go into the cross-examination now from the defense, and Mr. Yannetti is going to be questioning her. Starts off with asking how she knows the family, and then we kind of get into the fact that she knows the McCabes. She has pet sat for their golden doodle that they have. She's been to their home. The dog's name is Bailey, and she actually calls Jen McCabe by her nickname, JJ. Question is brought up if she's ever pet sat for Chloe, the Albert's dog. She is very good friends with Brian Albert Jr., but she says she has never pet sat for their dog, and she said she's not aware if Chloe is a dog that is good or bad with people. She mentions that she knows Colin Albert. He was there that night, and he leaves around 11:30 to 11:45, but she never watched him leave, and she wasn't monitoring the basement door or the front door. So then we get some questions about the text message that she sent for her brother to come and pick her up. Basically, she took a screenshot of that text message. She testified that she did, but she never turned over that screenshot to the prosecution, to any of the investigators, anybody in the case. The only person that she ended up sending that screenshot to was Jen McCabe. I guess Jen asked her for that. And then the question is asked if Jen McCabe said she was investigating this case, and there's an objection. We don't get the answer to that question. So I took that as Jen had said to Julie Nagel, "I'm investigating this case on my own. Send me that screenshot." So the next morning, after everything goes down, she texts Brian Albert Jr. or talks to him, and then she puts 2 and 2 together that the blob that she saw was this person who was dead on the front lawn. She does not call police to tell them what she saw. She ends up giving Michael Proctor her first statement on October 12th, 2022. So the cross-examination ends there, and then we will get redirect tomorrow morning from her.